Now, let's start with this. There is no doubt about it. It sucks when you lose your job. Job loss is stressful under normal times, and even more so with everything that's going on right now. We're living in some unusual times, to say the least. So, what can you do when you lose your job? Well, first, whether or not you have an emergency savings to fall back on, kind of tuck these scary feelings away for the future because you can use them later to completely change your life for the better. I say this because long term unemployment was what got me off the path of debt and into a very positive place. When I was getting out of debt, I kept thinking back to how I felt during that time, and I stayed focused on knowing that I never wanted to be in that position again. So let's get started. I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be hard to get through job loss, but you can do it. So, the very first thing to do is apply for unemployment. And you may be able to do this online or over the phone. It just depends on where you live. Just check online for your area. And do not wait to apply because some states have pretty strict deadlines. And even if they don't, it usually does take some time to get benefits. And your case can also often be denied the first time you apply, but don't take that as a no. Just file an appeal right away if it happens. Unemployment taxes, unemployment benefits come from payroll taxes. So you do deserve that money if you've lost your job through no fault of your own. And of course, when you've lost your job, you need all the money coming in that you can get. So file right away. And then once you are able to get unemployment, be sure to do whatever they ask to keep meeting their requirements. So while there's been no talk as of right now of extending the amount of time you can get unemployment due to the current crisis, that has happened in the past. So keep on top of whatever may be required to get that if it happens. You may also be able to take advantage of disaster unemployment insurance, but just you'll have to check to see if that applies to your situation. And the next thing you should do is breathe. Like I said, job loss is kind of shocking and scary. So once you've applied for unemployment, just take a moment to breathe. There is nothing wrong with sitting and doing nothing for a day and just feeling however you feel. Because it can be shocking to lose your job, even if you hated it. Taking a little time to acknowledge how you're feeling can help keep you moving forward. And then just do take action after your day of rest. The next thing is to get health insurance. So when you lose your job, it's generally considered a qualifying event. So if you have a spouse with insurance benefits, you should be able to get on their policy. If you don't, or if they don't have health insurance, there are other options that you can look into. If you work for a private company, you should be offered COBRA insurance if they have 20 or more employees. So that is something that keeps you on the health insurance plan for up to 18 months and sometimes longer, depending on your situation. But the catch is you have to pay up to 102% of the cost of the plan to get it. And that's probably going to be a lot more than what you had been paying as your share. But Human Resources can tell you the exact amount. And you have 60 days to decide whether or not to say yes to COBRA coverage. So at a minimum, don't decline that coverage until your time is up. Use the time to look at the other options that are out there and figure out what's best for you. Some of the other health insurance options are signing up for a plan on the healthcare marketplace. You can do that even if open enrollment is closed because losing your coverage is a qualifying event. You may be able to get on a state-sponsored health insurance plan if there's one where you live. If you're under 26, you might be able to get back on a parent's plan. You might be able to get Medicaid, or your kids might be able to get what's called CHIP. You can also consider joining organizations that have group insurance if they have it at a good rate, or get a catastrophic plan that only covers a few big things, and that you can get on the healthcare marketplace also. Sometimes people may also join a health sharing ministry, which some have had good experiences with that and some have not. So the main thing to remember is that health sharing ministries are not health insurance. They may require you to be of a certain faith, and there are also a few problems with that you should check into. Liberty Health Share is one that doesn't require to be a certain faith, so that might be an option if you choose to use Health Sharing Ministries. Number 4 is to cut back as much as you can on your spending starting right now. Go through every item in your budget and try to cut back or cut out as many things as you can. And just do that right away. It's pretty common to wait to cut back thinking that you might find another job quickly, at least under normal circumstances. But whether or not that's the case, the time to make cuts is right away. It's better to be able to add things back in later than to need money later and not have it. So it just really take a look and see where you can cut and see where you can find some savings. Number 5 is to polish up your resume and start your job search. You want to update your resume and post it on sites like Monster and LinkedIn. And review listings for the jobs you could do and make sure your resume uses those keywords. If you have like odd or unusual job titles for former jobs, do include the normal, more typical titles in parentheses so that the computer scanning your resume will actually know what you did. And don't forget to get back in touch with old contacts, since it's pretty common to find jobs through people you know versus just sending out resumes and adding to LinkedIn. Provide some information that could be useful to them and let them know that you're looking for a job at the same time. Make sure your references are still willing to be references and that the contact info you have for them is still correct. Don't just tell people once that you're looking. Don't be a pest, obviously, but do ask family and friends every couple of weeks if they've heard of any openings. That's just because it's easy for people to get caught up in their own lives or assume that you found something. So you have to keep putting yourself out there and letting them know, kind of reminding them, especially if it does turn into long-term job loss. And also, don't forget to prep for interviews in case you do get called in, which hopefully you will. Number 6 is to look for other ways to make money. Jobs are obviously not the only way to make money. And with the current crisis, you might not be able to do many of the usual things to make extra cash because they involve going to people's homes or having contact with them. But you could still do some of them, like maybe teaching English online to people in another country. Just think of things that maybe you could do at a distance or without being in close contact with people. Look at the skills that you have and see how you might be able to use them to bring in some money right now. Like maybe you're good at sewing or you're really good at keeping kids occupied. Maybe you could sell directions on craft ideas or things like that. And one thing, while you're trying to find ways to make extra money, do not spend money to start doing things. Just let people know that you're available to do whatever it is you're going to do, and keep putting yourself out there. And just watch out for scams or people who promise to help you make money, but who want money from you in order to do it. This really isn't the time to invest whatever money you do have into something that might or might not pay off. So basically, the main thing is to stay away from things that promise or guarantee to pay off, because that's usually a very big red flag. I know that we want to believe, but that's the time not to do it. So also check around your house, see if there's anything you can sell, use to pay bills, so that, just basically add to your savings. And speaking of bills, number 7 is to put your bills in order of importance, because no one knows how long a job loss will last. Hopefully you will find one right away, but I lost my job back during the whole dot-com bust and the 9/11 aftermath, and it took me maybe 3.5, nearly 4 years to find another one. And I don't really say that to scare you, but it can be smart to act like your money has to last you a really long time. So you want to prioritize your bills. Food and someplace safe to stay should be at the top of your list. Basically, things that you're not going to literally die without are less important. For example, like credit card debt is least important of all because it's unsecured debt. And speaking of debt, if you lost your job, do not pay extra on your debt. Only make the minimum payments, because eating and having somewhere to live are the most important, and you want to do those things first. If you do have to choose which debts to pay pay things like your house payment or your rent first, and then maybe a car loan if you have no other way to get to interviews or work. Number 8 is to look for help. With the current crisis, a whole lot of people are going to need a lot of help. So if you can help others, even if it's just by talking to them or sending links to resources, do that. You are a valuable person no matter what your job situation is like. And if you need help yourself, ask for it. I know it can be really hard to ask for help, but you should do it anyway. It feels good to help others, so this is your turn to be the person that needs help. And you can check with your city, state, the federal government, your neighborhood group, Buy Nothing group, your friends and families. Just look, there's a lot of places that offer various kinds of assistance, and you just need to look for those resources and take advantage of them. So basically, you want to apply for anything you might qualify and do things like using food banks, maybe put your student loans in deferment. And if you do have an emergency fund for job loss, this is the time to use it. So number 9 is to use your flexible spending money. So if you had a flexible spending account at your work that you had contributed money to, you can actually still file any claims that you haven't gotten to yet up until you lost your job. Even this is the case even if they are more than the amount that you put into the account before you lost your job. So that means, like, suppose you signed up to contribute $1,000 to your flexible spending plan this year, but you got laid off on January 31st. You would only have put in $83.33 to your plan by then, but you can still get reimbursed for the full $1,000 if you had those expenses before you lost your job. So you want to submit all of the eligible expenses that you have. Number 10 is to take care of your 401k if you had one. If you have a 401k account, you have 3 choices on what to do with it when you leave. You can most likely leave the money where it is. You can roll it over to an IRA, and a direct rollover is best. Or you can take it out and pay a ton of taxes on it, probably, and plus maybe a penalty. So you probably shouldn't do number 3. Spending your retirement is a bad idea because it's there for your retirement. And unless you're retiring now, you're going to need it in the future. Rolling it over into an IRA is usually a good idea. So check with your financial person and see what they advise, but in general, those are good ideas. And the last thing is to take care of yourself. Losing your job and any kind of big change like that is always stressful. So you want to take time to exercise, get plenty of sleep, eat well. And I do hope that you're able to find work quickly after you lose your job. And if it helps, right now the most important things are your health and your family's health and safety and the public health. These are pretty unusual times. So just take care of yourself and do your best.